This is the Todd McKinley Commentary. Political insight, discussions, and interviews brought to you by a retired Army paratrooper. If you love liberty, the Constitution, and government staying out of your way, then you're listening to the right podcast. From the battlefields of Iraq, Afghanistan, and the halls of the White House, this seasoned veteran of both the military and politics is now writing a new chapter with the Todd McKinley Commentary. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Todd.
Folks, welcome back to the Todd McKinley Commentary. I'm Todd McKinley. I'm joined by and I always say special guest. And today we have the same situation. We have a special guest, Darlene Swaffar. She's running for the United States House of Representatives. She's running for Congress in the 22nd District in Florida. I'm sure it's beautiful weather down there, just like it is here in Northeast Tennessee today. So, Darlene, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and then I'll just go ahead and pose the first question. Why are you running for this office right now? What was the motivation? So, a little bit of your background, and then go into the why you're running, if you will.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Darlene Swaffar, and I'm a local entrepreneur business owner. I have a Medicare insurance agency brokerage firm with a team of agents, and my expertise for the last 10 years is health insurance, Medicare, individual, and group. And I've contributed significantly to the local community. I'm a resident for 27 years. I live and work in the district, and I have a record of sitting on boards and having executive level positions within the community. About 20 years ago, I was the executive director for 4 years for the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce. I am half Puerto Rican, and in that capacity, the goal was bringing the chamber's focus into Broward County, helping entrepreneurs get certified and work with local municipalities, like how to do business with the government if you're a veteran-owned, women-owned, Hispanic-owned business. And there was also a huge component on sitting in planning sessions with the Beacon Council. The Beacon Council is the Economic Development Council for Miami, and basically attracting companies to either headquarter or have a satellite office in Miami. So that was a little bit more than 20 years ago. Okay. And they accomplished their goal. It was pretty significant. And they have a very diversified year-round economy, unlike Broward and Palm Beach. So one of my platform issues that I want to tackle is replicating that project here in Broward and Palm Beach. And the sister company here, the Alliance, it's called the Alliance. They are not as powerful or project management focused as the Beacon Council. So I kind of want to push that forward. As far as why I want to run, I think from 3 years ago, watching our local representative, Ted Deutch, get on the bandwagon of impeaching our president and really siding with Pelosi on a lot of issues, and having, 350, bills in the Senate that are dead on arrival. Obviously, they're not passing any meaningful legislation. And in fact, I think what we need to do is look at laws that are on the books currently and what they're trying to propose and see if it's constitutional, because there's a lot of legislation that has passed or they're trying to work on that technically goes against our Constitution. And I'm a constitutionalist. I'm very pro-Constitution, First Amendment, Second Amendment rights, and trying to adhere to the principles of what our founding fathers wanted for us, which is liberty and to live in a republic.
Absolutely. That's a heck of a doggone reason right there to run. Now, what is your nickname for Mr. Deutch, for Congressman Deutch? I know you have a pretty cool nickname. Tell everybody what that one is, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's time to ditch Deutch. And he's down here. He's called Impeaching Do Nothing Ted.
Yeah, do nothing Ted. Yeah, lying Ted. if you will, I'll bring that one back. But yeah, he's another one of those members of Congress who's essentially a lapdog for Nancy Pelosi, and of course he's one of the Florida lapdogs, if you will, for her. Yeah. She has them all across the country, but he's one of them. So you told everybody why you want to run for this, and it's a really good reason. What are maybe some of the top 3 things that's on your platform right now, that on your to-do list, if you will, as soon as you get to Congress, in the next session?
Well, I'm trademarked as the Medicare lady. It is a
Okay.
trademark nationwide. Nobody has that trademark other than myself. And I want to use my expertise in health insurance and be probably one of the very few representatives that has not only the knowledge and the understanding, but the talking points on why Medicare for all will not work.
Right.
And I'm fighting for choices. So protecting Medicare for our seniors, as well as protecting employers' rights to provide health benefits for their employees, and providing more options for individual health insurance as opposed to what is available on or off the exchange. And right now in the state of Florida, I believe I'm the only candidate running with health insurance expertise.
Right.
Davita Gruber from MAGA Media wrote an article about that. So you can look it up, MAGA Media, type in my name, Darlene Swaffar, and you'll pull up the article.
Okay.
And then the second opportunity that I want to focus on is something I touched earlier, is economic development. Davita Gruber, probably one of my biggest fans, she wrote an article on my invitation to Elon Musk.
Right. Right. I've seen those. I've seen those. I love that. Yeah, I love those. You want him to come to your district. I'd like to have him to come to Northeast Tennessee. Come on, we want you, Elon. Yeah,
I mean, he's talking about Texas, but you know, we have a launching pad.
You do. Close by. We
have a launching pad. As a matter of fact, he just used it. So, you know, come on, Elon, you need to come to Florida. And,
Get down there.
There was some, come down here. So there was an article that talked about the most picturesque town in the whole country happens to be Key West. Mm-hmm. I forwarded that article to him. I'm like, come on, Elon, look, we got this waiting for you.
Right.
And then last week, the top 10 beaches nationwide, Florida's #1 and #6. So I'm like, sent that to Elon. Come on, Elon, we got beaches for you.
Yeah.
And we got lazy rivers, we got campgrounds, we got everything. We got amazing beaches here in Florida. So,
Very
you know,
true.
obviously the second opportunity, you know, Elon is one of maybe 1,000 companies I want to attract to Florida. I want high-paying jobs and I want year-round residents.
Right.
And so the third thing I definitely want to tackle is more on a local level. You know, besides protecting natural resources that affect tourism,
right,
I want to really focus on protecting our pristine waterways, our intercoastal waterways, our oceans, and holding companies accountable that contribute to the algae growth in Lake Okeechobee.
Right.
And I also want to focus on infrastructure. In Fort Lauderdale, within a month and a half, we had 4 sewer main breaks. So we had sewer leaking into our pristine oceans, affecting marine life and also affecting individuals' ability to enjoy our beaches. I mean, you can imagine they come here for vacation and they can't swim in the oceans. I mean, I'd be upset. So I want to focus on that as well. So those are my 3 points.
Yeah, plus it's a major, you know, plus that's a major health hazard too for just people who live there, people that are visiting. That's absolutely true. So it's a health crisis in the making right there.
Yes.
So those are some very good points right there. So how do you see yourself interacting, say, with the upper branch or the upper house, if you will, the Senate? I know it's a co-equal house in Congress, but how do you see yourself interacting with your not only your 2 senators, but with the Senate in general? And then, of course, I guess with your members of the House of Representatives, how do you see yourself working alongside them to try to get things done, whether they be Republican or Democrat?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. And unfortunately, we have a whole body of House and Senate. Right. I mean, I think the Senate has a little bit of their act together in terms of they're trying to work together. The House is a complete shambles, in my opinion. But, you know, 80% of my family are Democrat. I may be registered as a Republican. I've been registered for over 20 years.
Right.
But I understand how Democrats think. I grew up in the barrio, in the toughest neighborhood in Brooklyn, Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Right.
And I grew up in a Democratic policy community.
Right.
And by the way, it wasn't Democratic policies that got me out of there. It was working 2 to 3 jobs, and Republican policies of, you know, everything is possible in your life if you're willing to work hard for it. And I became an entrepreneur. So I understand their dialogue. And what we have to understand is the Democratic Party is not Democratic voters. And I
Right.
drill this in every single interview that I do. When you talk to your neighbors that are registered Democrats,
Right.
they want the same things that we want. They want
Yeah,
safe
absolutely.
communities to raise their children. They want good school choices. They want economic opportunity, the opportunity to either have a business or have a great paying job. They
Right.
want, secure borders. They want legal immigration. They are not for how radicalized their party has gone. So we
Right.
really need to make that distinction. Now,
Right.
as far as the election in 2020, if everything goes according to plan, we're obviously going to elect, because I think people are getting smarter.
Right.
We have to vet the candidates, and we have to make sure that we are voting in patriots. So it doesn't matter if the patriots are registered Democrat, Independent, Tea Party, Republican, it doesn't matter. If we have a love for our country, we should be able to come together and work on, meaningful legislation.
Right.
And as far as the House working with the Senate, I think it would behoove House members to go to the Senate and find out, because you can vote on anything, and if it ends up in the House, in the Senate, and it doesn't get voted on, what's the point? You've wasted your entire time.
Yep.
Wouldn't it make sense to go to the Senate and say, I'm thinking of this bill. What are your thoughts? What would it take for you to get, to support it and get your buy-in and get your vote on it?
Right.
And then go from that perspective. Wouldn't that make more sense? But that's not what's happening.
Right, exactly. And that's the reason I really asked the question, is to see see if you would walk across Capitol Hill to kind of
Absolutely.
I don't
know if they're ready for me, though.
They may not be ready for people like you and I that are ready to go up there and fight, but not running this time around. But that's really why I asked the question, is really so. What are you going to do to work with other members in the House, like I said, to try to come up, craft legislation that makes sense, but at the same time legislation that the Senate will take up and pass. Because a lot of times bills go across Capitol Hill and they just die in the Senate. And sometimes you look at it and it's like, wow, this actually makes good sense. Why isn't the Senate passing this? And then sometimes it's just a bunch of nonsense that goes over there to die for good reason. And it's good that the Senate is the deliberative body, if you will, that can take their time on things, whether or not they want to pass it or not. But anyway, that's really the reason I asked that question. So
well, I'd like to add to it if
go
it's
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
So I think, I don't know. Look, I'm not a politician. I've never run before, but I am a business owner, and I'm a strategic thinker. I'm a problem solver. I'm win-win in everything that I do. And if you know anything about entrepreneurs, you know that we're willing to work harder than the next person. We're willing to work evening, weekends. We're willing to sacrifice our entire savings to have a business. We're willing to do whatever it takes. We're always win-win focused. And so when I get to Congress, I know that's maybe silly, but the first thing that I would do is create a very welcoming reception area. I've been to Capitol Hill. I've been to the Rayburn Building.
Oh yeah, I've been to all of them.
Yeah, it's a very stark, hospitalistic type environment, very cold. I would create a reception that's very warm and inviting, reflective of Florida, maybe with, painting the reception area to be like one beach, so somebody wants to get away from their chambers and come to a fun chamber. Well, my chamber is going to be the fun chamber. And the first thing that I would do is I would send an email or letter to every single member in the House saying, this is what I'd like to focus on. I am focused on restoring our republic as much as possible to the Constitution. This is what's important to my, constituents in my community. It's not about me, and it's not about the country. It's not about you. It's about, me serving we the people in my community. And this is what's important to us. If anybody is interested in working with me on such and such legislation, and one of the things I'd love to work on is, limiting the kind of requirements that it takes to have gun control. I mean, we have the right to bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed. And if more people were enabled to protect themselves from looters and terrorists or criminals, there'd be less of that activity. Because if a criminal is going to go into a home and they know that that homeowner has a gun, what's the likelihood of that person going forward with their actions? So there's certain things that I want to work on, and I want to invite everybody in the House to say, this is what I want to work on. Is if anybody's interested in working with me on this, let's do this. Let's change the course of this country. And so that's probably the first thing that I would do when I get to Congress.
Absolutely. So the next question would be, how do you envision your relationship with the executive branch and with the president? I mean, I know as a junior member of Congress, probably
Mhm.
not going to get a lot of interaction with the president, but
Yeah.
you might, if you, especially if you flip this seat from Democrat from D to R in Florida,
Mhm.
you could definitely get a lot of interaction with the president, especially
Yes.
especially during the first your first term, especially. So, what do you
Mhm.
envision your relationship being with the president and the executive branch, especially?
Yeah, well, I love my president, and if I had an opportunity to meet with him, it would be an absolute honor. And the first question I would ask him is, what would you like to see the House do? Well, right now, we don't have a House
Right.
that's willing to work with our president. And
Right.
so obviously, I want to change that. It's one of the reasons why I'm running. Our president needs help. Our president needs a Congress
Right.
that is going to work with him, not
Very true.
against him.
Very true.
So
Yep.
I would love an opportunity to say, the Donald, because nobody calls him Donald anymore. He wants to be called Donald. I'm like, Donald. By the way, that's my father's name and my brother's name. Okay,
Right.
so that means a lot to me. So, Donald, what would you like to have happen? What kind of support do you need? What do you want us to work on? I would love to have that conversation with Donald Trump.
Good. Yeah, I like the sound of that. It makes sense.
Mhm.
I like to bring on people that make sense to me. So how many folks are running in your race right now in the primary? I know there's quite a few people in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we started out with like 8 or 9, but there's 4 that made the ballot. I'm one of the 4. And in
Okay.
a SWOT analysis, I'm considered the strongest candidate. I'm the only candidate that has, health insurance and economic development expertise. And
Right.
I'm the only one that has the record of achievement, with community service
Right.
awards. So in a
Good.
SWOT analysis, I'm the strongest.
Good. And not an attorney, not another attorney.
We don't need another attorney. I mean,
That's right.
honestly, what do we have in Congress? 95% attorneys. What made
Right.
the ideology that only attorney can serve in the House?
Right.
We need more business owners and
Yes,
entrepreneurs.
I agree.
But yeah, they over litigate, they overanalyze, they stalemate, they look for loopholes. We don't
Yep.
need that. We need problem solvers in
Absolutely.
Congress. And
And,
then the other candidate is more of like a bodybuilder, beauty queen. I think she came to South Florida just a few years ago. Um, she says she lives in Boca, has a wireless company, but
right.
she's just not as strong. I mean, I live and I work in the district. I'm a member of the community in the district that I want to serve.
Right. Well, and that's a good thing, and that's what you
Yeah.
should do is focus on the community you live in, try to bolster it, try to make it
Right.
stronger. And that's
Right.
those are really good reasons to go to serve. And of course, a heck of a background, not another attorney.
Right.
What's the way forward from now until election day?
Mhm.
What's your pathway to victory? What does it look like? I mean, obviously you're a strong candidate, but what's your pathway as we move forward, getting out of the COVID-19, just social media campaigning? What are we looking at moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can Google my name and they
Right.
can Google everybody else running against me, and there's literally no comparison of what's going to come up on social media,
Right.
my posts, my stance on issues, and also the success of my business. I have over 50 different 5-star reviews as a business owner, and I come up in the first 10 pages on Google rankings, and that's all organic search. Now,
Wow.
with regards to my campaign strategy, the last 2.5, 3 months have really taken a devastating effect on my campaign. We've
Sure.
had to cancel fundraising efforts, rallies, even just passing out palm cards, bumper
Right.
stickers. All that has to come to a halt. It
Right.
severely affected our campaign financially, and so everything I'm doing is social media outreach. Paid
Right.
advertising on Facebook, and just making phone calls. So that's what we're at, and I really need help with contributions. We're behind on contributions, and I understand the country's going through a lot right now.
Right.
Employment's been affected by everybody, but campaigns cannot run without donations.
That's true.
A
Very true.
patriot cannot get into Congress without the help of the local community. I'm not part of the establishment.
Right.
I'm not a paid puppet. I don't get major corporate donations or PAC money or lobbyist kind of money. If you want to see change and you want the Patriot candidate to get in, it literally takes everyone, even if everybody listening, $5 each or $10 each. That is how we can win.
Right. Well, that's good. And that makes good sense. And it's how you spend the money too during a campaign
Mm-hmm.
that really makes it effective. That's really appreciated, that you're not out just wasting money like some candidates may, or some big name candidate who can bring in a lot of money that just
Mm-hmm.
spends it frivolously. To me, that tells a lot about who you are and how you would spend our
Right.
money, our tax dollars in
Mm-hmm.
Washington. So,
Right. Well,
go
I'm actually,
ahead.
I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm a fiscally responsive person. I have
Good.
accounting and finance in my background, and on a personal level, I have zero credit card debt. I only own a car and an RV. My business is self-funded and has no debt. I have
Right.
a debt-free business.
Good.
Okay. With regards to all the contributions that we have collected in the last 6 months, zero has gone to me, my campaign manager, or any volunteer working in my campaign. It is 100% gone to advertising on a local level. That's
Right.
it. There's, I mean, even my website is maintained by a volunteer. Social media is done by a volunteer.
Right.
My campaign manager is volunteering.
That's good.
I have collected nothing, zero. I mean, I'm a business owner. I don't need to collect anything from my campaign. But I'm just saying that we're very fiscally responsible, and my campaign manager is a CPA.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, we're very fiscally conservative individuals in
Right.
my campaign.
And it says a lot that you have people that are willing to put aside their own life, their own jobs for a
Yes.
period of time to volunteer all this time, all their free time
Yes.
to help your campaign. That says a lot about you as a person. I think that speaks volumes of you, versus some people who hire people to come from out of state to run campaigns. They have their different strategists, their different whether it's field reps, whatever it may be. And most of these people are from out of state, had no connection to a particular district. It says a lot that you have people from your own community that are willing to volunteer for you. It says a lot about your
And believe
character.
in me,
Yeah,
absolutely.
a lot
Because
about your
we're in this
character.
together.
Yeah, big time. So, any riots in your area right now, or any protests outside of the peaceful
Yeah.
protest right now?
I haven't seen it on a local level, but
Okay,
remember, we are a right to bear arms state. We are a stand
right,
your ground state. We
right.
respect our constitution. We love our governor.
Yep,
And we have 2 million individuals in this state that have concealed weapons licenses. So
right,
this is not an easy state to have a riot, or, you know, to try to cause havoc or chaos, because they're going to be met. We also
right.
have local well-organized militias. We have a
Okay,
lot of retired veterans that are prepared to defend their neighbors and their property and themselves.
good.
So I don't think and even Miami was just announced this morning that they lifted the order, the emergency order to stay in place. You know,
Right,
so we don't even have that anymore in
good.
South Florida. I mean, that's on a Miami level. In Broward, I haven't seen it yet.
Right. I hear your kids in the background. Is that kids?
I know.
That's good. And like we talked about before we started recording, like, you said you're going to hear this, you're going to hear that. You're a real person, and that speaks volumes of you being a real person. which
Yes, I have a child, and everything I do for him.
that's good. And people can relate to that are out there. The everyday voter can relate to that,
Yes.
versus somebody who has the pristine backdrop. I mean, I put my flags up, but that's what I do for my backdrop. But it speaks volume. You know, somebody who has the multi-million-dollar communications center
No.
or anything like that. But yeah.
Nope. I'm a real person.
Well, tell everybody where they could find you on social media,
Right.
Whether it's the internet, what have you. And of course, if you're watching this on Facebook, it'll be in the descriptions above. At the same time, if you're going to be listening to this on a podcast, whenever everything's finally released, it'll be in the description as well. All of these links that she's going to say. But, tell everybody where they can find you, and any final thoughts that you have that maybe we've not discussed, maybe you've not been able to discuss with people that are out there. Take as much time as you need to talk about it. Then we'll wrap this thing up.
Sure. So my website is swaffarforcongress.com. That's SWA, F as in Frank, F as in Frank, AR, FOR, Congress.com. And on Facebook, I'm Swaffar, the number 4 Congress. Twitter, I'm simply Swaffar Congress. Parler, I'm Swaffar, FOR Congress. And that's the best way to reach me. As far as donations, each of those sites has a donation button that you can click. And my last parting words is I have ancestors that fought in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and my ninth great uncle is Benjamin Franklin.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Yeah. Ben Franklin.
So I have a vested interest to continue my family's ancestry and in protecting our Constitution. I'm a constitutionalist, and I would have, loved to maybe another podcast talk about the history of our Constitution and our rights and the role of the state and the role of the country. But my focus is serving we the people. We need to get back to basics in this country. We have a very seditious and treasonous government right now. We have a lot of paid actors, a lot of people that have been put into place on every level of our government and every agency, throughout major corporations, throughout the media, controlling a narrative to cause division. That is our reality. There's only two ways to fix this issue. One way is through insurrection and taking over a treasonous government, which will cause a civil war. The only other way that we have is to vote these people out, vote these deep state plants out of our government and put in patriots. I can't stress that enough. I think that people need to vet candidates and look at, are they getting corporate contributions and will push those corporate agenda when they get into Congress? Are they working with lobbyists? Who's funding them? What radical beliefs do they communicate? How conservative are their values? Are they entrenched in their community? We need to do a better job of vetting our candidates. And for me to run for Congress is putting my life on the line, is putting my business on the line. I get attacked every day. It's affected my business. I've had clients that were very upset when they found out that I'm a registered Republican, because I never talked about politics. I work with seniors. Some of them got upset with me and said, Darlene, I don't want to work with somebody who's a Republican or who, likes this president, for whatever their reasons are. So, it's affected me financially. It's affected my business. Social media, I'm attacked all the time. I'm censored. I'm shadow banned. They do not want me in Congress. You have to understand, I am a Hispanic woman that's a conservative. I'm an outsider. I'm the one that they don't want.
You go against their narrative.
I completely go against their narrative. They do not want me in Congress, which is why you need to send me. So every single seat in the country that can flip red, and mine is one of them because it's D6. We have more independent registered voters than Republican or Democrat. They're the swing vote. And so every single seat that can be flipped becomes part of the national race. I need people to understand how important this is. So since I'm the strongest candidate running and on the ballot, you need to back the strongest candidate and push that candidate forward and back that candidate financially to win. That is the only way it's going to happen.
There we go. Well, folks, we've been talking to Darlene Swaffar. She's running for Congress in Florida. You'll find her links in the description. If you like what she's talked about, support her. And if you live in that area, take a look at her. Like she said, investigate your candidates. Do your due diligence. Look at the background. If you like what she's talking about, vote for her and put her in office. And let's kick out old Fred Deutch or Dietz or whatever the heck his name is.
Deutch.
Ditch Deutch. There we go. And we certainly want to see that. Ditch Deutch. And we'll see you in Congress, hopefully, in the next session there. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. See you guys next time, McKinley Commentary.
Thank you for listening to the Todd McKinley Commentary. You can follow Todd on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search @Todd4House. That's TODD, the number 4, HOUSE.